Welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. As of Saturday, April 29th, President Donald Trump has been in office for 100 days. During his campaign, he made a lot of promises about what he could accomplish. How's he done? To continue our discussion, welcome once again to my guest, Portland attorney Jill Gibson, a Republican, Donald Trump critic and Oregonian columnist and author Steve Dean, and our KGW political analyst Len Bergstein. Once again, great to have you here.
Thank you.
I want to read you a quote from President Trump. He gave an interview with the Associated Press last week, and they asked him how they feel that maybe he's changed the office of the presidency and how the presidency can be used to affect change. And this was his response. He said, I think the 100 days is, it's an artificial barrier. It's not very meaningful. I think I've established amazing relationships that will be used the 4 or 8 years, whatever period of time I'm here. I think for that, I would be getting very high marks because I've established great relationships with countries as President El-Sisi, the Egyptian president, has shown and others have shown. Well, if you look at the president of China, people said they've never seen anything like what's going on right now. I really liked him a lot. I think he liked me. We have a great chemistry together. How do you think President Trump is doing with relationships with world leaders, and especially as we look at how he will deal with some of these tough situations like what we're seeing with North Korea, where both sides have been posturing? Let me kind of go around the table. We'll start with Jill.
Well, I look to how did the world respond when he dropped 59 Tomahawk missiles in Syria, and the world roundly praised him. The leaders of countries from Japan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Britain, Japan, basically every country except for Syria, Iran, and Russia praised his decisive and strong action standing up to Assad. So I think that bode very well for him.
Well, I think it really, how you think about the president in his foreign affairs, I think depends on whether you think an inconsistent but muscular policy on a case-by-case basis is a strength, or whether it's displays a frightening lack of a policy on the part of a foreign policy novice, and gives you a reason to go, whoa, what's he going to do next? In China, one day is a friend, and then it's a foe. One day NATO is interchangeable. We could use it, lose it. Next day it's our best thing. Syria, bombing into Afghanistan. We haven't done anything with the Iran nuclear plan or whatever. I don't know how you can look at this as, say, anything than it is a series of one-off kinds of tactical things that he's done, and gets praise on a muscular strategy, but I think he gets bad marks for being totally inconsistent and seemingly adrift. I'm frightened when my president doesn't know where his armada is going. If he thinks it's going in one direction, but it's really kind of like headed off another, that displays to me a kind of a frightening lack of the grasp of all of the job of presidency.
And President Trump has told Reuters that there is a possibility of a major conflict in North Korea. How confident are you in his leadership in that area?
Well, I'm terrified that we're being led by a blind squirrel who occasionally is going to find a nut. He's going to be right. Again, I'm sort of with you. I think bombs needed to be dropped on Syria to sort of show them something. But North Korea is an unnerving place. I mean, Greg Walden in his April 12th town hall, his quote was, I think North Korea is probably the most dangerous place on the planet because you have a leader who is unpredictable. And of course, he said this without a trace of irony or a sense that that's what Americans concerned are, that there are two unpredictable guys in the room.
Let's talk a little bit about Greg Walden, our lone Republican in Congress. You were at the town hall and you wrote an article about that. I want to read another quote from your column. In the crowd of 800 at Hood River Middle School were cherry growers, nurses, dental technicians, neighbors, retirees, and family friends. Each time they begged their congressman to fight with them, to stand for something, you could hear their incredulous, unnerving alarm. They missed the old Walden, the one who wasn't so comfortable with stupidity, the one who didn't abide demeaning and dehumanizing slander about immigrants, the one who could bring voters together without trying to sell them on the precious notion that he doesn't have the time to challenge the fragile, misbegotten ego in the White House. And you called the column, he's in between a rock and a hard place. But he also has the ear of the president. He's been in the Oval Office twice. He's talked to him about lowering pharmaceuticals. He's friends with the Interior Secretary. Doesn't he give Oregon some clout?
No. Because I'm arguing, I can't believe there is no sense whatsoever as you watch Trump operate that he's paying attention to anybody who's in the room with him. I mean, again, sometimes it is, by the way, I want to add, humbling the impact my column has on people. Because I basically challenged Walden to sort of take the Hatfield approach, to sacrifice some political standing in the name of principle and compromise, as Hatfield did on a number of occasions. And what does Walden do? He promptly doubles down, basically on a health care package that will take health care from 64,000 people in his district by 2026. And he is now willing, apparently, to screw people who have pre-existing conditions. That astounds me, that he's willing to do that for the sake of maintaining his place in the room.
What kind of reaction did you get from other people to your column?
A lot of cheers, but not very many from the 2nd District. And that's probably what is guiding Walden's thinking on a lot of this.
Jill, do you want to react to that?
Well, I respectfully disagree. He does have the ear of the president, and he's the only Republican Congress member we have from Oregon, and he needs to stay in that position, and I want him to continue doing things that are good for Oregon that he now can do, such as supporting lumber companies from Canadian imports.
Len, I want to give you about 30 seconds to respond and kind of wrap things up for us.
I think both of our panelists, both Jill and Steve, have got it right. I think, and they give the framework. I mean, I think Walden has got a place on Oregon-specific issues, and he's not going to have a very big say in national issues for the reasons that Steve mentioned. I'm glad he's there. He is enormously talented, and he's a good guy on probably agriculture issues and all the natural resource issues and a bunch of other things. So I'm glad he's there, but I don't think he's going to have influence on a president who seems to only take his own counsel.
Does he get reelected?
Oh, I think so. You got to beat. Can't beat someone with nobody. I mean, he's very strong in that district, and maybe I can't imagine the only place could come from would be from the right, and there'd have to be some sort of hedge fund guy in New York who wanted to put in, kind of a couple $100 million to take him out.
Panel, I want to thank you for joining us here on Straight Talk. Thank you. I hope you come back, and thank you for watching. Straight Talk airs twice a weekend. We look forward to seeing you next week for Straight Talk.